That's right. Okay, so you can all, oh actually no, we're going to start off sitting, that said. We are going to start off sitting so that we can all see each other and connect a little bit non-verbally, but just so we can all see each other. And we're going to sit in a particular way. We're going to sit with our legs, one in front, like this, and the other one behind, like that. Now, it might be that you think, no way I can do that without leaning over to one side. That's fine. You might be like this, leaning into one hand. So let's all do it the same way. Let's all have our left leg in front, right leg tucked behind. And you might be sat on both sit bones, you might not be. And you might, as I said, you might be leaning into a hand, okay? And sitting here, you're just going to start to circle your pelvis, okay? So you're sensing the underside of your pelvis, and imagine you're drawing a circle on the floor where you're sitting. Good. So I can see some of your legs, and I can see that, like mine, at some point the pelvis is moving independently, and at some points the legs are coming along too. Okay. And then I want you to slow the circle down and see if you can find what size circle can you make, leaving the legs behind. So you're seeing if you can just move the pelvis and keep the legs quiet. It might be a really small circle. There'll hopefully be some movement though. That's it, trying to not the legs move, good. And then just slow that circle down, make it smaller until you come to a still point. As you exhale, rest into your pelvis. Great. And then you're going to turn towards your front knee, which is your left knee, I think. You're going to turn your head, chest and shoulders towards that knee. And then you're going to start to fold towards that knee. So that might be a little bit, you might just drop your chin towards your chest, you might be able to walk your hands forwards, but you're always inclining the chest and the face towards the knee, the front knee. So don't go beyond the knee, just to the knee. You can let your head go. A couple of deep breaths. Good. And then walk the hands back. Turn to face the front, facing forwards. And the same thing again, so drop your chin towards your chest. A sense of becoming shorter in the front, longer in the back, as you keep the hands forwards. See if you can sense that the pelvis is rolling over the thighs. Good. And then a couple of breaths. And unravel back up. And then turn towards the toes of the front foot, so your left big toe. And remember, you're encouraging the chest, the shoulders and the face around towards the toe. And once again, creep the hands forwards. Let the legs go as much as possible. Breathe deeply. Good. And then gently bring yourselves back up. And you could just lean back onto your hands and swish your legs around the other way. Okay, so you've now got your right leg in front, left leg tucked. Good. So this side for me, you'll probably see there's a lot more movement of my front leg. So start your circles again. Great, and then slow your circle down and make it smaller until you can feel that you're just moving the pelvis and the legs are staying quiet. So this isn't about how far you can move, how much flexibility you can find. It's about sensing into your body and what you're doing. Noticing the difference between the pelvis and the legs moving together as one, and then differentiating between the pelvis and the legs. Good. And then settle. Turn towards the front knee, which is your right knee. And again, start your forward bend. Breathing through the sides of the body. Let the head be heavy. Good. Walking the hands back towards you. Turning to face the front. And again, chin towards your chest. Walking the hands forwards, just as much as is comfortable. Don't push past any discomfort. And coming back. And turning towards the toes of the front foot. And same thing. Folding forward. You're encouraging the chest, the shoulders, and the face towards those toes. Good. And then coming back up to sitting. And then we are just going to sit still for a few breaths. Now we've had various positions of the legs here, haven't we? We've had outward rotation and inward rotation. If one of them feels much easier to you, more familiar, then sit with that. If you're not sure, you could try. So you could try sitting cross-legged, or you could try kneeling. And if sitting on the floor just really isn't comfortable for you at all, you can sit on something else, some furniture, because we have furniture, or a cushion or something like that. And then in your sitting, again, just circle the pelvis like we were doing before. Until you find a still point. Good. And then take a deep breath, and as you exhale, really rest into your seat. Rest into your seat. Let your shoulders settle. And you can close your eyes or not. But just start to follow the movement of your breath. Can you hear the music in the background or not? Every night at 7 o'clock we have a community dance out on the green outside our house, so that's what's going on. But you can't hear it, so that's good. And I want you to follow your breath and see if you can count 5 cycles of breath from beginning to end. So you start your inhalation, you follow the journey of that breath to the top of the inhalation, follow the exhalation to the end of the exhalation, and you count 1. And then again and count 2, all the way to 5. If you lose count or get distracted, which is human, you just come back to 1 again without any judgment. As you exhale, feel the seat drop into the floor. Rest as fully as you can. Great. And then if you've got your eyes closed, just gently open your eyes. So we're not going to be sitting looking at each other anymore. So just acknowledge who else is in this class with you. And then we're going to come on to all fours. My cup of tea somewhere less dangerous. So if you place your hands underneath your shoulders and knees underneath your hips, if that's comfortable for your wrists. If it's uncomfortable for your wrists, take your hands a bit further forwards. Okay, so it's about if the bend on the wrist is too much, take your hands further forwards. You listening, Coco? Come in. And then look directly down at the mat between your hands. Get rid of the dog. Come in. Come on. Okay, and then what I want you to do is push the floor away with your hands, so you feel the shoulder blades broaden, the upper back lift and broaden, but you're still looking at the same point on the mat. And then I want you to undo that and then keep going with that undoing. So you start to feel the shoulder blades slide towards each other and the upper back drop between the shoulders. So explore those two extremes, pushing the floor away, feeling that excessive effort in your shoulders, and then unpushing and feel how the upper back can drop between your shoulders. But you're still looking at the same point on your mat. Great, and see if you can find the places in between those two extremes. Yeah, where you're not pushing and you're not collapsing. Good, and try and maintain that effort through the arms, and then bring your attention into your pelvis and see if you can roll the pelvis over the tops of the thighs. So it's like you're rocking the pelvis backwards and forwards, but you're not changing the effort through the arms. Yeah, so you're feeling the pelvis roll, your belly drops towards the floor, the lower back deepens, and then the belly will get pulled back towards the spine as the tailbone starts to drop towards the floor. Seeing again, so we're differentiating between the upper and the lower body. If you get tired on your wrists, come down onto your elbows, that's fine, or just have a rest. And then you could bring these two together, but include your head. So the next time you drop your tail towards the floor, also press into the hands, but see if you can feel that it's an even curve, and you can drop your head from your tailbone to your skull. And then as you let your belly drop towards the floor, you will unpress through the arms, but keep the elbows straight, lift your gaze. So it's cat pose or cat-cow, you might know it. But we're doing it nice and slow, not necessarily changing with the breath, but we are definitely breathing. But we're sensing into the back and the front of the body and seeing if we can feel if we're spreading these extension and flexion movements evenly throughout the spine. Great, well done. And then come to find the middle place where you feel long. That's it, so you're looking down, you're very well behaved. And tuck your toes under. Try and keep that relationship from the crown of your head to your tailbone, so you stay very long. But you're going to send your bottom back towards your heels. Keep your arms straight. And then come forwards again. Take your hands a hand's length forwards. So a hand's length forwards. Keep that same relationship, that same length between the crown of your head and your tailbone. Swing your bottom back. And come forwards again. And again, taking the hands forwards. Keep the elbows straight. Toes tucked. Just as far as your ankles, toes, knees, hips will allow. And you might find, if you go far enough forwards, you get to a point where your forehead can quite easily rest on the floor. But your arms are straight and your elbows are off the floor. Now I say might, because it might be that you're thinking, no way, the floor's miles away, in which case bring the floor to you by using cushions or furniture. So you've got it's like you're in dog pose, but you've got your knees on the floor because you're long through the arms, elbows off the floor, bottom back over the heels. And you're asking quite a lot from your shoulders. Good. So a few more breaths here. And then untuck your toes, let your arms come back and just come into a more conventional child pose. So that might be with your arms down by your side or your forehead resting on your hands. But definitely find something to rest your head on. Good. So just to say, if you're watching this live on Facebook and you want to join the Zoom class so that I can see you as well, the link to the Zoom class is somewhere on the Facebook feed. Sorry, I can't be more helpful than that. But yeah, if you want to join us in the Zoom room, you're very welcome to. Okay, so coming back onto all fours, back onto your hands and knees. Actually, don't do that. Come onto your elbows, come onto your forearms and have your elbows underneath your shoulders. Drop your head, so you're looking back now toward your thighs. Let your head go. Maybe you can just nod your head just to check you've really let the head go. Resting through the elbows. Good. And now you're going to keep your head in the same plane, as in you're not going to shorten the back of the neck at all, but you're going to press the elbows into the floor. So your head sort of retreats up inside your shoulders like a tortoise. And then you're going to unpress. So your head hangs towards the floor. So you keep the crown of your head facing the floor. Crown of the head stays facing the floor. And your bottom's away from your feet now. Your pelvis is above your knees. You're looking back between your legs and you're exploring that same pushing and unpushing of the shoulders as you were doing on your hands. You're doing with your elbows. Breathing. Good. And then resting through the elbows, resting, so not pushing and not the middle ground. You're actually sort of hanging between the elbows now, between the shoulders even. Tuck your toes and lift your head so you're looking at the mat. So you will have shortened the back of your neck. You're looking at the mat beneath you. Toes tucked under. Swing your bottom back towards your heels again. So you did this on your hands. But keep your elbows plugged in. Keep your elbows plugged in. Keep looking at the mat. Breathing, and then come forwards, sliding through the shoulders. When you come forwards, creep the elbows forwards, like you did with the hands. Your elbows are shoulder width apart. Keep looking at the mat, toes tucked. Swing the bottom back towards the heels. Just sense how much you can undo in those shoulders as you go back. Keep the elbows plugged in. And then maybe you can come forwards, maybe you can creep the elbows forwards a little bit more, maybe that was your limit. And then again, swing the bottom back. And at this point, you might be able to rest your forehead again, either on the floor or on cushions or blocks. And then you can either keep your forearms in front of your elbows, or you could bring your palms together towards the ceiling above your head. And as you exhale, however your arms are, as you exhale, you're seeing if you can really deepen in your upper back as you exhale. Good, and then again, undo that. Come into a more gentle child pose, so forehead resting on the floor or your hands, and then, or if your hands aren't forwards, they can be down by your side. And send the breath way down the back, into your back ribs, into the lower back, back of the waist, lumbar spine. Good. Great. Come back onto all fours. And drop your head so the crown is facing the floor. Tuck your toes under. And take your bottom back towards your heels, trying not to alter the effort through your shoulders. So the weight will change, but try not to push through the shoulders, okay? Your head is dropped. And then when you take your bottom back towards your heels, just check in with the support from your arms and your hands. Does it feel like you could rest into your arms and take your feet off the, sorry, not your feet, your knees. Not that exciting. Or if not, maybe you need to bring your hands a bit closer to your knees, let your head go. And then that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to come into downward facing dog, trying to rest into our arms and use our strong leg muscles to lift the pelvis up and back. So you keep the head heavy, you take the knees off the floor, and then use the legs, lengthen the legs. You don't have to lengthen the legs completely. You can keep the knees as soft as you need to, and you'll have them very bent if your pelvis, if you feel like there's a lot of weight on your hands. So you're using your feet and legs to draw the pelvis back, resting through the arms. Good. Great. Okay, come back down onto all fours. Come back down onto all fours. Good. And now look at the mat between your hands and pick up your left foot, left knee. And what I want you to do now is lift your gaze and look forwards as you send your left foot up towards the ceiling. Can't see me, can you, at that angle? Okay, so you've picked up the left foot, you're sending the left foot up towards the ceiling as well as lifting your gaze. Yeah. And as you do this, you can allow the effort through the shoulders to undo, the belly to drop towards the floor. And then keeping that left knee off the floor, swing the left leg through, bring the knee towards the nose and the nose towards the knee. And to help that, you can press the hands into the floor, rounding through the back. Do that a few times. So it's the same movement, hopefully you'll notice, as cat pose, but your leg is helping you move the pelvis and the spine. Lovely, really nice. Great. Have a go on the other side. As I said before, if at any point your wrists feel really achy and tired or uncomfortable, you can just come take the weight off your wrists or come onto your elbows or onto your fists. Have a break at any point. If I see you lying down having a break, I'm not like going, oh, right, point's knocked off there. I'm thinking, well done for looking after yourself. Great. And then once again, come into child pose. If child pose isn't comfortable for you, make it comfortable, okay? So if being in a very a deep fold in the hips or the knees or a big lengthening in the front of the ankle is uncomfortable, there's things that you can do. You can bring the floor to you. You can build cushions up and rest into cushions. You can pop a cushion between your bottom and your heels, or several cushions, so you've got something there if there's a big gap between your bottom and your heels. What else can you do? You can roll a blanket and place it just at that crease at the front of the ankle if your ankles are tight, because it's a resting pose, and if you're distracted by pain in the body, your nervous system isn't going to be able to rest. It's going to feel threatened, which is not useful in this moment in time. I mean, obviously if there is a threat, it's useful to feel threatened, but there is no threat with child pose. Good. Okay, so when you're ready, come back onto all fours and bring yourselves into downward facing dog the way that we just did. So drop your head, so the crown is dropped towards the floor. You're resting through the arms. Resting through the arms, good. Use your legs to lift your pelvis up and back without shortening your neck. Lovely. Great. So before we get too tired in dog pose, we're going to move into what we were just doing on all fours with one leg, but doing it in dog pose. So lift your left foot off the floor and then send your left knee, not just the foot, but the left knee up towards the ceiling as you look forwards towards the mat between your hands. Lovely. And then do the opposite. Bring the left knee towards your nose. Great. And keep going between those two. See if you can sense that the weight shifts from your feet to your hands. Good. And your pelvis, from what I can see, your pelvises are all staying level. They're not tilting left to right. Good. Have a go on the other side with the other leg. If you need to come down and rest in between, do so. So again, you're looking to feel them. I can see it actually really beautifully, the curve traveling through the whole spine. So you haven't got part of the spine in flexion and part in extension. It's communicating. We're all on this, all the vertebrae are on the same page. Great. So you've probably had enough of dog pose for a moment. So just come down and have a rest, either in kneeling or in child. Or in dog stroke pose. It's very relaxing as well. Great. And then when you're ready, once more coming into downward facing dog. So from all fours, drop your chin towards your chest, crown dropping towards the floor, tuck your toes. Use your strong legs to lift the pelvis up and back. Really let your head go. And then pick up the left foot again and do a couple of those same movements where you send the knee up towards the ceiling and you look forward, and then you bring the knee towards the nose, and the weight will probably shift forwards then as well. Do that a couple of times. And then the next time you bring your knee forwards, could you come more up onto your fingertips and swing that foot all the way forwards towards your hands. Now that might be one clean step, it might be 7 steps. But you're going to bring the left foot forwards. So you've got about a foot's length between your front foot and your back knee. So left foot on the floor, then you've got this gap between the front and the back foot. And then fold forwards over your front leg. Let your head drop. So you can feel you're in this flexed, rounded place through your back. Good. Keep your head heavy. Keep your head heavy, as in dropped. Don't look up. But do open up at the front hip. Yeah, so you're coming, so your torso is now above your back knee. That's it. But you're still looking down towards the floor. If you feel a bit unstable, you might have a trusty sofa or something nearby you can use. And then as you lift your gaze, try and keep a sense of your sit bones being heavy and pointing towards the floor. Now you might feel, I want my hands here for a bit of stability or here for a bit of stability, or you might feel, actually, I could lift my arms. So see how you go. Maybe you can lift your arms. Good. You don't have to lift your arms, you can keep your hands down, or you can stay forwards. If your back knee is uncomfortable, you can always put a cushion or a folded blanket underneath your back knee. So again, with your arms up, this might be enough for you. You might already be feeling quite a length through the back leg. Or you might think, maybe I can try the next step, which is to fold the front knee a little bit more, sending the pelvis forward, so almost like shunting the pelvis forwards. If you are doing that, you could think about your shoulders, chest and head being one piece, and you could lift your gaze, allow your shoulders to come back and your chest to come forwards. Even though you've got your arms up, you can sense that the arms are dropping into the shoulders. Good. And then when you do want to come down, send your pelvis back as you fold forwards. Drop your head. And then stay on this side, but this time lift your gaze. You're looking directly down at the floor. And if last time you lifted your arms, now lift your arms so that they're level with your ears and you're reaching forwards. If you didn't lift your arms last time, just keep your hands on the floor. Okay? So either fingertips on the floor or fingertips reaching forwards. But this time you're going to unravel as one piece. So the hands, the shoulders, the head and the chest all come up as one. Good. Breathing, let the shoulders drop down the back. Lovely. You don't have to lift your arms, remember. And then maybe this is enough. Maybe you can bend the front knee a bit more, let the pelvis come forwards and allow the upper back to deepen, lifting your gaze. So the arms, you might have them more out here with the elbows bent, that's fine. But even though the arms are going up, your shoulder blades are dropping down your back. Couple more breaths. Good. And then remember, when you come down, you fold the body forwards, but push the pelvis back. Bring the hands back onto the floor and then step back into downward facing dog. So tuck the back toes under and step back. Great. And then we'll do the same with the right leg. So pick your right foot off the floor and then send your right knee towards the ceiling as you look forwards. So look at the mat, that's it, and then bring the knee towards your nose. So it's like a little cat pose in dog pose. Do this a few times. Animals love us doing yoga, don't they? They always want to get involved. Good. So once you've done this a few times, you're going to use this folded flexion movement to swing the back leg through. Great. So now your right foot is between your hands, left toes touch. Your head is dropped and you're folded into your front leg. Remember, you might want something under your back knee. It doesn't feel very comfortable. So stay in that folded place for a while. A couple more breaths. And then slowly, keeping the head heavy to start with, unravel at the front hips. So you're now in a line above your back knee. That's it. So you open up the front hips. That's it. Unravel the body. Okay. And then once you're here, slowly lift your gaze, but as you lift your gaze, keep a sense of your sit bones being heavy. Yeah, so they're dropping towards the floor that way. Good. And again, you might find here, you want your hands for stability somewhere around you, hovering. Or you might think, I could lift the arms up. But let the shoulders drop down the back. Good, nice. So can you have that sense that although the arms are going up, the shoulder blades are dropping down the back? And then maybe this is where you want to stop and come back, or maybe you want to stay for a bit longer, or maybe you want to bend the front knee a bit more, let the pelvis come forwards, lift the gaze, upper back deepens, breathing. So it's like your shoulders and your ribs and your spine are all supporting this movement of the head. And then when you come down, remember you send the pelvis back, fold over your front leg. And then either keep your fingertips on the floor and just flatten your back, so you're now looking directly down, or look directly down and bring the arms by your ears, so you're reaching forwards. Either way, on an exhalation, you're going to bring the whole of the body, including the head and the arms, if you've got them up, upright. And once you come upright, you feel the shoulder blades move down the back. If you've got the arms up. And then again, you might want to stop there. You might want to exhale, let the front knee bend a bit more, send the pelvis forwards, lift the gaze. Good. And then folding forwards, sending the pelvis back, hands to the floor, tuck the toes under, and step back into your downward facing dog again. Maybe you could find a way to rest in your dog pose. Maybe you take your hands a bit wider, you soften your knees a bit more. Good. And then come all the way down, back into child pose once again. Lovely. So as I said before, make child pose work for you. If you need some support for your head, get some support for your bottom. Lovely. And then when you're ready, flip yourselves over so you're lying on your back with your knees bent and feet on the ground. Good, so this is the first time, isn't it, we've laid down, in this class anyway. You may well have laid down a lot today, but in this class it's the first time we've laid on our backs. So take a couple of breaths, and as you exhale, feel where the floor supports you, which parts of your body feel heavy on the ground. And wherever you do feel heavy on the ground, go with that. So those heavy points, the weight bearing, the points of the most pressure, are your biggest opportunity for release, to let gravity draw the weight of the body into the ground, so that you don't have to hold on to it and support it away from gravity. So one of the reasons for practicing yoga is to calm the nervous system. And the way that that works is we soften the body, open and relax the body, which only happens if we're in a safe environment. If you think about it, if we were under threat, we wouldn't lie down, you know, with our vital organs exposed. We wouldn't let all the tension drip away from our muscles. So because we're consciously softening into the ground, the nervous system gets the message that we're safe. And perhaps if, you know, a lot of the time, speaking for myself, we might be, you know, chronically in a fight or flight mode, just a mild, stressed, high alert mode. And we can influence the way we're feeling by sending the brain, the nervous system, messages that it's safe and we're relaxed. So you can also soften the features on your face. I notice when I get a bit tense or stressed, I tighten around my lips. So I've been recently consciously softening around my mouth, yeah, because when my mouth is relaxed, my nervous system, you know, knows that I'm not under threat, which I'm not. You know, when I get angry, I'm not under threat, or if I'm feeling stressed, it's you know, it's just the world that we live in, the lives that we have. Okay, so mini lecture over. Bring your attention into your feet, and just with one foot, one leg, gently, so you're lying on your backs, that's it. You're gently going to let that knee swing from left to right. Now do this really small, sensing the quality of that movement in your hip joint. And you're looking for a feeling that it's like well lubricated. And if it doesn't feel well lubricated, if it feels sticky, take that foot further out to the side or maybe further away. Just a small movement from left to right. Good. And then settle the weight. This is just with one leg. Settle the weight somewhere where it feels like the weight is shared evenly between the inner and the outer edges of that foot. And then, yeah, you might want to adjust where your foot is. And then do the same with the other leg. That's it. Take the other knee slightly out to the side, slightly in towards the middle. Good. And then settle into that foot, somewhere in the middle. And then bring your attention back into your breathing. And place a hand on your belly and a hand on your chest, or on your ribs. And sense, well, first of all, sense the presence of your hands. So somewhere where there's no ribs and somewhere where there is ribs. Could be in the middle, but might be more off center. Yeah, so feel the presence of your hands. And then notice what you feel underneath your hands. And can you sense that as you inhale, the space between your hands lengthens, and as you exhale, it decreases. So your hands don't slide on your skin, but your skin stretches and then contracts with the movement of your breath. And can you sense that your belly, as you exhale, could drop back towards your spine? And we're now going to support this movement of the belly dropping back towards the spine using our feet and legs. So as we exhale, we're going to ground through the feet, press into the feet until we feel the pelvis rolling back, the lower back comes closer to the floor, and the belly drops back towards the spine. And then as we inhale, we do the opposite. We allow the pelvis to roll more towards the tailbone. You exhale, press the feet. So you get this rocking backwards and forwards of the pelvis, but that creates an undulation through the spine, changes your contact with the floor with the back of the body. And you might find if you stay very undone through the shoulders and the neck and the jaw, your head also gets pushed and pulled a little bit. In order for you to feel this, particularly the feeling of expansion in the belly when you inhale, you'll need to undo any holding in the belly. So carry on with this action, but let go of the synchronicity with your breath. So you can be breathing in or out, or in and out as you're arched away from the floor. Yeah, so you're slowing down the movement, if you like, keeping your breath the same, so that you'll be in each variation for maybe 1 or 2 whole cycles of breath. Just seeing what you can stop doing in the shoulders and the back and the belly. And then find the middle ground, somewhere where you feel quite easy. Keep your right knee bent, but lengthen your left leg out along the ground. That's it. And then you're going to keep that left leg completely soft and relaxed. But you're going to press into the right foot and feel the weight shift over to the left side of the buttock, the left side of the pelvis, the left leg, and then come back again. So don't worry about timing it with your breath, just make sure you're breathing. And from time to time, you're going to be pressing into your standing foot, feeling the weight shift over to the left, feeling an opening across the whole right, the front of the right thigh. And then allowing the pelvis to come back down. Everything apart from the right leg and buttock stays as undone as possible. If you feel like as you press into the right foot, you start to also tighten the left buttock or lift the left buttock off the floor, slow down, back off. You're doing more than is necessary, and just come back to the very beginnings of that movement, pressing one foot into the floor. Yeah. So because you're keeping your right knee facing the ceiling, the pelvis is rolling around the thigh. Yeah. So before, when we had our pelvis on the floor, we were taking the leg from left to right. The head of the femur, the thigh bone, was moving inside the pelvis. Now we're keeping the leg in the same plane, but the pelvis moves. Because when we press the foot, it gathers up all the soft tissue in the back of the leg, which pulls that side of the pelvis, pulls the sit bone up a little. Okay, the next time you undo that, stop, lengthen out both your legs, and just sense how your legs feel, if there's any difference between the feeling in the hip joints, between the feeling of the length of your legs. And then do the same on the other side. So first of all, bend your left knee, left foot standing. And if you want to just readdress where is a good place to have that foot to press, you can swing the knee from left to right, see how that feels. Maybe adjust where the foot is if it feels a bit sticky or that you can only go in one direction. That's it. So you've got your right leg long, left knee bent. And then once again, like you did on the other side, start to press through this foot. So you're pressing into your left foot, keeping really heavy and undone through the right. And as you press through the left foot, can you feel how that slightly lightens the left side of the buttock on the floor, the left side of the pelvis, maybe even lifts it off the floor? You keep the knee upright, and as that happens, you slightly roll over to the right and then unravel back again. And you know, there's no one right place to have your foot. If you feel like you're not getting much leverage, you can alter where your foot is. Try pressing with the foot slightly out to the side or closer to the middle, maybe closer to your buttock or further away. You know, unless we try these things, we don't learn what feels good, what feels helpful, what feels less helpful. Right, once more, slowly pressing, slowly unpressing, and then lengthening your legs out again. Bend your knees so both feet are flat on the floor. And bring your arms up towards the ceiling, above your shoulders. And here, just like we did on all fours, explore the various ways you can be supported by your shoulders. You can reach towards the ceilings if you want to touch the ceiling. Feel how the shoulders get pulled away from the floor, and the upper back to press into the floor. And then you could unreach and feel those shoulders rest heavy on the ground. Do that a few times. Hopefully you can all sense the difference. One is quite effortful, and another way is you're feeling the weight of the arms rest through the shoulders. Good. And the next time your shoulders rest, can you give yourself a hug? And let's hug with the left arm on top. Very Buddha-field, isn't it? Let's have a hug. And can you so your hands will be slightly lower than your shoulders, somewhere either on your upper arms or maybe towards your side ribs. Let your elbows drop away as much as you can, away from your face, without letting your hands slide down the back, and just sense the breath in the back of the body between your fingers. And then keeping your pelvis on the ground, you're going to shift from left to right with your shoulders and your back ribs. So you pull one set of ribs off the floor and then the other set. And if you find as you're doing this, your fingers come to the floor, you could creep them along the floor away from you just to help you turn a little bit more. You might find it's much easier to turn one way than the other. Good. And then next time you come back to the middle, pause, unravel your arms, but feel your shoulders heavy on the ground. Just sense that your arms are like weights, pinning your shoulders back. And then wrap your arms around you the other way. You've got your right arm on top, fingertips wrapping around the side or back ribs. As you exhale, let the elbows drop. Feel the breath in between your fingers in the back of your body. And then again, letting your head roll with your shoulder girdle and your ribs, upper spine. Keep your pelvis on the ground and start to rock the upper back from left to right. Again, if your fingers come to the floor, you could creep them along the floor away from you. One side, the other side. Great, so once you've done that a few times, come back to the middle. Lengthen your arms up towards the ceiling again. Let your shoulders rest. Good. And then hug your knees in towards you. Hug your knees in towards you. So you've got your left hand on your left knee and your right hand on your right knee. Come back in tune with your breath and moving in time with your breath. As you exhale, fold the thighs towards you. And as you inhale, lengthen the thighs away from you. See if you can sense that the movement of your pelvis and your lower back, maybe your belly, is similar to when you were pressing the feet into the floor and then unpressing them. But this time your legs are completely passive. They're being moved by your arms. So you keep your hands on your knees, so your legs can just let go, and you're moving your legs with your hands. Great. And then stop there, drop your feet to the floor. And once more, I'd like you to roll over and come onto your hands and knees, onto all fours. Drop your chin towards your chest again, tuck your toes, and we're going to once more come back into downward facing dog. So you send your bottom back towards your heels, rest through your arms, use your strong leg muscles to pull the pelvis up and back. Breathing. Again, see if you can make downward dog feel quite comfortable and restful for you. Maybe make it shorter or wider. And then all of us are going to take our feet slightly wider apart, so maybe mat width apart. Okay. And then you're going to pick up your right foot, bring your right heel towards your bottom, and then take your right knee and the right side of the pelvis up towards the ceiling. So it's more of a rotation. And as you're doing this, you can look underneath your right armpit. You just let your foot hang, and then you bring that foot back down, nice and wide, so you've got a wide stride. Pick up the left foot, left heel towards the buttock, left knee and left side of the pelvis up towards the ceiling. As you look under your left armpit. And then you can go from side to side. Good, breathing deep. So you get this rotate, lovely. So your pelvis is rotating, that travels all the way up through the spine into your ribs, upper back. Great. And then come into your dog pose and walk the hands back until you're in a standing forward bend. So you've got your weight in your heels, knees soft, elbows resting on the thighs, let your head be heavy. Or you could hang. You could rest your elbows on your thighs, or you could hang and hold your elbows, head heavy. So you've got the weight resting into your heels. Knees soft if you can. Bend your knees a little bit. Good. And then here, either keeping folded over your legs or resting your elbows on your thighs. If being in a forward bend is quite challenging for a long period of time, you can always, use some furniture to lean onto. And then you're going to, however you are, however you're folded, bend one knee and lengthen the other. Yeah, and then alternate. Keep the head heavy. Bend one knee, alternate the other. Good. So do that a few times. Bend one knee, lovely. And then come back to both knees doing the same thing. Whatever that might, however bent that might be. And then you're going to slide your right foot back, just a small step back. Yeah, so your right foot comes back. And then you're going to bend your front knee, but keep your right knee straight. So you might be resting. In fact, let's all do that. Let's all come up now. So we're resting onto our left thigh with our left elbow. And we've got our right arm hanging. Just let that arm swing. Good. And then we can swing the arm out to the right and follow the hand with the eyes. Just as far as is comfortable and that you feel stable, and then come back down. Swing the arm, and then swing the arm forwards, but again, follow the hand with your eyes. Just as far as is comfortable, you don't have to go all the way up. Come back down, swing, and swing the arm back. Follow the hand with your gaze. Good. Great, and then when you come back down, bend your front knee and your back knee, bring your hands onto the floor and step back into your dog pose. Again, try and make it as restful as possible for you. Good. Walk your hands back into your forward bend. And then this time, slide your left foot back. You've got your left leg straight. Bend your right knee and come so that you're resting your right elbow on your right thigh. So, and let your left arm hang and swing. So you can swing in all kinds of directions, side to side, forwards, backwards. And then you're going to swing the arm out to the left, following the hand with your gaze. You obviously have to keep some of your attention in your feet. Good, and then come back, swing the arm again, and take it in a different direction. You could take it forwards. Follow the gaze, follow the hand with the gaze. Breathing into those long sides of the body that you're creating as you reach. Back leg straight if you can, so you're resting into the back heel. Good, and then when you've had a little play with that, come back into downward facing dog. That's it, so you bring both the hands onto the floor, step the feet back, make it pleasant. Make it work for you. Good, and then come all the way down back into child pose. Sense the lungs that fill your back ribs considerably. Great. And then bring yourselves up. I just want you to make a little lift for your head now. We're going to come and lie down. So ideally, you would have probably a folded blanket, just because that's quite even. But if you haven't got a folded blanket or a towel, you could use a cushion. Give you time to do that. Okay. And then you're going to bring yourself to lie down with your head on your blanket and your legs out. So if it's okay for your lower back, have your legs out long. Otherwise, keep your knees bent. And if you've got your knees bent, you could take your feet wider and drop your knees in towards each other, so you're not having to support the weight of your legs. So we're going to move into some breathing practice now. So if you have taken a layer off and you want to put a layer back on, or some socks on, a blanket, you can. Okay, good. So make sure you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, support your knees. If you drift off to sleep, don't worry. You'll wake up when you're ready and join us when you're ready to again. So once again, take a deep breath in. So a deeper breath helps you feel the breath. It helps you feel the ribs and the belly and the back ribs, maybe even down into the pelvic floor. And as you exhale, really melt into the ground. Allow the blanket or the cushion to support your head. Soften across your forehead, around your eyes, between your eyebrows, your cheeks, jaw. And then follow the simple movement of your breath. From the beginning of the in-breath, the top of the in-breath, beginning of the out-breath, to the end of the out-breath. So you can breathe as you're normally breathing with your airways as open as they are, or you could bring in the Ujjayi breathing, and with Ujjayi breathing we narrow the airways, tighten the vocal cords a little, and it sounds a bit like Darth Vader breath. So if you want to try that, have your mouth open and make the sound, like you're cleaning a piece of glass or something, but longer. And then if you've got a blocked nose, you can carry on breathing through your mouth, either like this or normally, if you don't enjoy that. If you haven't got a blocked nose, I've got half a blocked nose, I think, tonight. If you haven't got a blocked nose, you could close your mouth and try creating that same feeling through the throat, but it will sound different because you've got your lips closed, you're breathing through your nose. Or you can just breathe normally through your nose. But because, the Ujjayi breathing, or victorious breath, that's called, it translates as, because you're narrowing the airway, it lengthens the breath. So what I want you to do now, however you're breathing, is just count your inhalation and count your exhalation. So as you're breathing in, you count, breathing in, 2, 3, 4. And as you're breathing out, see if you can count to 6. So you breathe in for 4 and breathe out for 6. So your out breath is longer than your in breath. And lengthening the out breath is a very useful thing to do for lots of different reasons, for different times of the day, and depending on how your energy is. It's particularly useful at the end of the day for quietening the nervous system, the mind, the body. So breathe in for 4, breathe out for 6. And if that feels very easy, because often our out breath is naturally longer, you could always add an extra couple of counts. So breathing in for 4, breathing out for 8. But I would check in with your level of comfort, because if you stretch the breath too much, like I mentioned earlier, your system, your body, your nervous system might start to feel threatened, that there isn't enough oxygen, and in which case then you'll start to mildly panic perhaps, which is not useful. You don't want to feel short of breath. So just do it gradually, staying within something that feels very easy for you, and you can build up very slowly. You know, you might start with 4 for the in-breath, 5 for the out-breath. Yeah, and then the next few breaths keep it at 5 and 6. So you monitor how you're feeling in yourself as to how much you stretch the exhalation. And now I'm going to invite you to add a pause at the top of your inhalation before you make that slow exhalation. So you'll breathe into the count of 4 and just hover a little bit at the top of your in-breath before you slowly exhale. And again, the length of that pause will be different for everyone. It's whatever feels comfortable for you, sustainable. Another thing to check in on in terms of how much you're asking of your breathing cycle is how smooth those journeys of breath are, how smooth the inhalation is and how smooth the exhalation is. So smooth inhale, pause at the top, and then long, slow, smooth exhale. Enjoy the inhalation when it comes. Hover at the top. Try and stay relaxed in that hovering, and then long, slow exhale. So after your next full cycle of this extended exhalation, you can keep the ujjayi sound if you're using that, but drop any purposeful retention of the breath or lengthening of the breath. So you're just breathing, but you're staying close to your breath. And then drop the ujjayi sound. Still feel the breath. Where do you feel the breath? How little can you do to breathe smoothly? How little can you do? Each time you exhale, can you give a little bit more of your weight to the floor? Could you soften more across your face, forehead, eyes? You could take your attention to the edges of your body now, so that as you're breathing in and out, you're sensing that you're moving into and out of the space around you, taking up more space and less space. And then take your attention to your ears and the sounds you can hear. Know that you don't need to, well, hopefully you don't need to, respond to those sounds. You can just experience them as sound sensation, quality of the sound. There may well be some chain reaction in the mind to certain sounds. You could observe that as well. So before you leave this practice, of course, you can carry on lying down for as long as you like. You're in your own space. Just bring, as you're lying there, just bring one hand onto your breastbone. Yeah, so somewhere on your chest, one hand onto your chest. Feel the weight, the warmth of the hand, almost like the support or comfort of the hand. And then feel the chest underneath it, the heart, which is underneath the breastbone, moving into the hand with the breath. And then bring your other hand to meet the lower hand. And just have a sense that your hands are comforting, holding that whole area. You don't have to be very particular about it. It's more of a felt sense. Feel the presence of the hands and the heart and the breath moving underneath them. So this looking after ourselves, holding the heart center, is a bit like saying a thank you to yourself for joining in the practice, giving yourself this time, looking after your body and mind. So as I said, you can lie for as long as you like. You can unmute yourself to say goodbye when you're ready to. I'll stay here for a little bit longer.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks for joining.
Sorry about the cats.
Oh, I love the cat.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Sleep well.
You too.
Yeah, sorry about the dogs. They just love Downward Dog, don't they?
Oh,
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Night, night.
Yeah, night, night. Rest well.
Thank you.
Bye, Facebook Live people.